I spent 200 hours of my life on a Genderbent Transformers cosplay. If you know who I am, nice to see you again. If you're new here, hi, I'm Yaya and I like to play dress up a lot. Now you may be thinking, Yaya, why Transformers? Why are you forcibly feminizing Megatron? Why are you turning him into girly pop? Honestly, there's only one reason. Transformers 1. I saw it twice in the movie theaters.
Why do you insist we watch this stupid thing?
Am I the only one who understands the complexities of this ambitious cinematic masterpiece?
I'd like to say I've always been a casual Transformers fan. I grew up with the live-action Bayverse movies.
I don't know what you're talking about!
Are you username ladiesman217?
I owned the DVDs, popped it into my portable DVD player on long car rides, but that was about it. I didn't really get into the comics or into the lore that much until I saw Transformers 1. That movie was the start of a hyperfixation so gripping that I knew I would not be able to get over it until I became one myself. Luckily for me, I didn't have to work any magic trying to gender bend Megatron myself because there's already an official model. The Kotsubukiya series Bishojo Megatron. An official model that I proudly own. Say hello to Megan. Now that I've gotten the expositional yap with Yaya out of the way, let's talk construction. The coat! Okay, no wait. Let's go through the typical procedure before I start crashing out. I patterned the coat after analyzing her figure in the most non-gooner, non-creepy way I could. I did my mock-up. I am Dr. Doofenshmirtz, my gosh. Pre-washed my fabric. I think these are dry now. Ironed the wrinkles out. Okay, now I can crash out. This purple poly satin was absolute dog water to work with. Hello? The fraying, the puckering, the fraying, structure, the fraying. Did I mention the fraying? It was a pain that was a little bit self-inflicted, I can't lie. Had I chosen a different fabric, or if I had just put some woven iron-on stabilizer on there, it wouldn't have been a problem. For those who aren't that well versed in sewing, it's important to think about structure when you're choosing your fabric. Typically for a trench coat, you might use something heavy because it drapes well and it's strong, keep you warm. I didn't do that at all. I went to Joann's Fabrics for the first time last December. We don't have a Joann's in Hawaii. Well, and I guess no one else will soon either. Saw a two-tone poly satin that I was mesmerized with.
Look guys, it's the exact same color. I had to travel thousands and thousands of miles to get this because we don't have it where I live.
I said, that's the one. Let's just do it.
Okay, guys, we are almost out of the trenches. Didn't get a trench coat. Okay, I really wanted myself to suffer, and I am suffering. Haha. The best part about this, I have to make this thing fit to a T, right? When she doesn't even wear it, I'll be at con with this thing on my shoulders. Why?
This coat is basically made out of French seams and hope. The lining cool. I sewed these on right on top of the sleeve, just some extra fabric. My thought process here, I can put maybe, I'm not too sure what fabric yet, and then I can just slip it through like a backpack, wear the coat eventually like this. Made some satin bias tape so it would match. For the 3D printing, I'm not very good at 3D printing, which is why I chose buttons. They're small and people won't notice them that much. Yeah. I sanded them, primed them, painted them, and then I hand pounded some buttons in there. It could clip on and off so I can wash it. Sewed some beads along the entire edge and called it good. Onto the corset. Unlike the coat from hell, honestly I had a really good time making the corset. I'm working late because I'm a procrastinator. I was a little bit intimidated, but it was just so doable. Dare I say, kind of easy? And I have to thank Sarah Spaceman, the GOAT. Her video, thank you Sarah Spaceman, I appreciate you. It's the same material as the coat, but it does have stabilizer in it because it had to. I threw the eyelets on. Shout out to my auntie for letting me borrow her fabric hole puncher. Thank you, auntie. I bedazzled it, hand sewed some beads on there. Cool, it's done. Next, the stretchy stuff. Before I explain this one, I just want to go ahead and shout out to my Nana. I love my Nana. Yes, because my Nana gifted me her serger. Guys, I don't know how I live my life without one. I made it all in like 6 hours total, maybe. Pattern out the skirt, thigh highs, socks, gloves. Okay, actually, the gloves are a little bit different. To this day, my kryptonite is sewing gloves.
Why? Why does this look like the geckos on my window? Stop! Oh god.
I can never make them good on the first try. So I actually ended up remaking my gloves an hour before my flight. And that's about it. Yeah. What do we got next here? Oh, other accessories. Really, I just kind of eyeballed it.
I'm an inventor.
Looked at the figure, drew it out old-fashioned style, paper pencil, made the tie, put some stabilizer in there, ironed it. You know, I've always wanted to try beading, so I just said, yeah, let's do it. And I made the cutest little Decepticon logo for Megantron's tie. So that onto the tie, that was done. The collar was basically a longer version of the pattern that I made for my trench coat. I think I extended it by about 3 or 4 inches so it would hang lower.
I'm an inventor.
For the belt, I've sewed EVA foam onto the fabric. I don't even know the little knobs, the little buttons, I don't know really what they're called, but the little things that are on the top part of the belt are actually hot glue. Painted it, sealed it, glued them on. I did like a faux garrison cap. So I made the pattern out of craft foam. Used a stretch needle to put it through my sewing machine because stretch needles will go through literally anything. Then I repeated the pattern on my red lining and the faux stretch leather. I got my wig base from Epic Cosplay Wigs. For all the big head and big hair girls out there, I was pleasantly surprised that it actually fit my head. I steamed it, crimped it, cut and styled.
The V-bangs? I've been trying to shape it all morning. Oh my god.
Sprayed the tips purple with my airbrush. And then for the finishing touch, tied some tinsel in there. The base heels I got from Amazon. Originally, there were some white platform stilettos. I painted them with a mixture of tacky glue and water, and then smoothed out the fabric and cut it with my X-Acto knife. I painted the soles red, and I wrote on the bottoms,
Decepticons! Transform and rise up!
"If you know, you know." And that's about it. Props. For the props, I knew that I was going to make the fusion cannon, but I also wanted to make a version of Megatron's Energon mace from the original G1. I don't think the live action ever really focused on the mace, which is such a bummer because it's so cute. So I scattered the internet trying to see how I could make Megatron's mace girly until I finally found a video, by chance actually, by a creator named Bindi Smalls. They made a mace purse and I thought to myself, Megatron with a mace purse. Hello. I did it. I bought the same materials. I did the same things. Link in description for their original video if you want to learn how to make it. I totally don't want to take credit. The only thing I did differently from Bindi Smalls is that I painted it. I hand mixed the paint to get it to the hue that I wanted it to be, and then I put it in my airbrush and I airbrushed the crap out of that thing. Last but not least, the fusion cannon. This thing is huge, actually. Pause. It's a little over 4 feet tall. I used the tape method to get my pattern for this. I want to put a disclaimer out here. It isn't perfect, but it gets the job done after a lot of dremeling. I've had a lot of people asking about the pattern.
Look, I know you have a conscience because you're an inventor like me.
If you want to use it, it is free on my Patreon for members. And first I'm doing that, disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. The LEDs I used for this are literally the same types that TikTokers put on their walls because you can't put lithium-ion batteries in your check bags, okay? So honestly, the LED light strips are pretty perfect, not gonna lie. I made a little circular chamber with some foil and some parchment paper, diffused the lights, called it a day.
Moment of truth. And she slays. Only thing is, I'm wearing 7-inch shoes. Haha, so fun. So cute. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Slay!
Now that my costume was done, there was really only one thing left to do. Take it on an airplane. Now, Yaya, what could possibly go wrong with bringing a giant gun prop on the plane? Oh, I'm so glad you asked. The answer to that is its size. So, I thought I'd measured this correctly. The guidelines say that any luggage under 60 inches in length may go without an oversize fee. Cool, my prop and my bag are 56 inches. They should just make it, right? Wrong! Wrong! Apparently, I was misinformed. Unfortunately. I didn't know that they meant linear inches, meaning the length of the entire box. And when measuring it again in linear inches, my box holding my prop was 82 inches. The oversized luggage fee is 80 inches. The staff told me I could either cut the prop to make it fit a smaller box, or I couldn't bring it on. And my heart dropped. I just spent 2 months of my life making the best prop I've ever made, and I wasn't going to be able to bring it on. All I could do in that moment was cry. Yes, a grown woman, cried at the airport because they wouldn't let me take a replica of Megatron's cannon on the airplane. I was just about to call my nana to pick up my box and bring it home. The supervisor came and said I could bring it on for a fee of $200.
Hey y'all, editing Yaya here. So I was looking back at the footage and I realized I didn't really explain, aside from the whole linear inches thing, the airlines that I travel on here in Hawaii are notoriously lenient when it comes to oversized bags and all that kind of stuff. They let so many things go, like kayaks, golf bags, baseball bags, literally like deer heads wrapped in duct tape. And they go on like hassle free. You know, when I was doing sports, when I was traveling with my team inter-island, our coaches would literally bring giant like Aussie box coolers, which is why I was just so shocked. I was told that I couldn't bring mine on because it was 2 inches off. Surfboards literally go on for free here. I'm not bringing this up because I want you to think, oh, woe is me, the world has stopped turning because I can't bring my prop on. I literally paid the $200 fee, okay? I want to share this so other cosplayers who have no choice but to bring their props on airplanes, what you might have to go through too. What I do care about is the lack of standardized practice, because there are so many times that I have had problems with my props and the airport, and I'm not the only one. I have so many cosplay friends just even in the mainland that go through this. I've had my props thrown away, I've had them damaged, I've had my prop go one way and then have them say no, it can't come back. It is the same organization. Why did you guys say I could take it on if I couldn't bring it back? What? Normally when I have big props, I'll actually just make the structural supports detachable so I can fit it into a standard suitcase. That is honestly the easiest, the safest, and probably the cheapest way to bring a big prop to. But you know, mishaps happen, and it happened to me. When I was finishing up my fusion cannon, the PVC pipe fittings weren't staying on correctly, so I had to permanently bond them. That's on me. I should have prototyped it more, but that's not the point. If there's any group of people who can tell you exactly how something is made that they're bringing on an airplane, it's a cosplayer. And it's just a bummer, you know. Honestly, that's why I cried. I'm a big girl. I can handle myself. It's just a point that you kind of get to when you're frustrated and the tears just start falling. And I'm not saying the ticket agents are horrible, horrible people. They're just doing their job. But man, it was just so unnecessarily stressful. Anyways, back to the video.
And so, with $200 less in my pocket and minimal emotional scarring, I was finally on my way to KawaiiCon. Now that I'd made my way there, costume intact, the question remained, could it win something? Now, KawaiiCon's cosplay contest is a walk-on competition. There's no skit element. You're assigned a prejudging time slot.
Okay, the prejudging process is hectic. So yeah, I didn't film earlier, but the prejudging was good. It's hot like the son of a bitch.
Do a rehearsal, and then you go, strike a few poses on the stage, and then they announce the winners. I entered as a novice because the rules say, if you never won anything, enter as a novice. So imagine my surprise when I walk into the prejudging room, the judges look at me, look at the clipboard, and say, you're in novice? I can't lie, I was gagged. For them to say that, it just felt good. It just felt good, guys, okay? Anyways, I had a timed 5 minutes to explain the elements of my costume, the important pieces of it, and then it was time to get out of my heels that were most certainly causing some nerve damage. This is what it looks like as I walk through a convention with my 52-inch gun and enjoy con until it was time for the contest.
Time to find out.
At 3:30, we did rehearsal, and then at 4, doors opened for the showcase. Can I just say, the thing that even made me want to compete again is the fact that I had such a good time talking to the people backstage the first time I did it last year. Getting to know cosplayers by asking them how they made their own cosplays is something that really encapsulates what I like about this community. Some people are really into seamstressing, others are foamsmiths, 3D modeling and printing geniuses, and if I can just let you in on a little secret here, talking to other cosplayers about their builds will make you so much better of a craftsman, honestly. It's also where you just realize that everyone's worked hard, and when you realize that, it's a lot easier to have fun. Making this cosplay had been such a time-consuming effort. It's the most effort I've ever put into a cosplay. I was so proud of what I just created. So win or lose, despite any results, I knew I'd be happy by the end of it. And with that said, it was finally time to announce the winners. The KawaiiCon awards are as follows. There are 3 Judges' Choice Awards, there's a Kids Division, there's Best in Novice, Best in Journeyman, and Best in Masters. Because they blatantly said to me in prejudging, "You're not a novice," I thought they might bump me up to Journeyman, not to toot my own horn, but can't just say that to someone and then not bump them up. I'm joking, but no, I was hoping. But then they called Novice, and they called Journeyman, and it wasn't me. So I was like, so be it. A little sad, but it is what it is. Just as I was about to sit down to see who they were going to call for Best Master, I heard a familiar name.
Lastly, in our Masters category, we have as we show Lord Megantron from Transformers!
And it was enough to make a grown woman cry. Again. Second time this weekend. But this time, they were happy tears because I just won my first cosplay contest ever. And it was somehow in the Masters category. God, Transformers 1 did this to me. What the heck? All of the skills I learned, all of the things I did, the literal tears I shed for this cosplay finally amassed into something that was so special. And just like that, I'd won Best in Masters. The cosplay contest I'd been prepping for was over. I went outside, took some pictures with my friends, took pictures with everybody, filmed some of the TikToks, and then I celebrated my win with a feast fit for a queen.
This is my first time at Chick-fil-A ever in my life.
So I guess a Genderbent Transformers cosplay can win a craftsmanship competition? And don't worry guys, my props did make it back safely, thanks to the US Postal Service. Now that it's done and over with, I'm really glad I was able to make this cosplay. There's always just this little annoying voice in the back of my brain that's a negative Nancy that says, if it's not perfect, it's not good. And a lot of times it can turn me away from putting a lot of detail or learning new things. I'm just really glad I was able to finish this build and not have it just sit in my phone under cos plans. And also, I want this to be assigned to other cosplayers from small rural areas. You can do it. You want to make that dream cosplay of yours? You can. You want to enter it into a competition? You can. There are no conventions you can drive to? Same. You don't know how to make a corset? Neither did I. I just learned how to make one. There are materials you can't get hold of because they don't ship to you. Same. For me personally, just with this cosplay alone, I didn't have access to flat steel, spiral steel, plastizote, which is LED foam, Boohoo glue, certain paint colors. The list goes on, really. I also had a hard time trying to get a hold of a 3D printer. Not knowing something or not having the correct materials doesn't define your craftsmanship or your ability to make something that's cool and unique to you. So please don't let that put a damper on your creativity. What I've learned from this experience, especially from being able to talk to the judges, is that it isn't the materials that you use. Rather, it's how well you can use every technique you do, how well you can execute it, your ingenuity, and how it fits you. More than that, just because your cosplay doesn't win something, it doesn't mean it's not good. There's a good chance that your cosplay was someone's favorite in the crowd, and I hope that if you were ever on the fence of trying something new, you can do it. I just want to say thank you, Miss Megantron. You're truly my magnum opus. For now, at least. If you liked that video, don't forget to spank that like button, spank it really hard, and don't forget to subscribe. As always, thank you to my patrons.
Geodude, Raymond Kemp, Jacob Senna, and Rig Shady.
Thank you so much for supporting my cosplay journey always. And with that, I'm Yaya, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.